But let's get going. So welcome everyone. It is absolutely brilliant. Oh, I've got a bit of an echo in there. I think we're okay. It's brilliant to have you all here today for this very unique and special edition of our CIMR event. I'm Jenna and I have the pleasure of hosting the event today, and it is a real team effort. So as I mentioned there, you are going to be hearing from various colleagues from the Centre of Innovation Management and Research. And today we have a very special guest as well, but I'm going to hand over the reins to Professor Lawton Smith to give us an introduction of the CIMR, and then we'll move into the interview between Muthu and Touker Suleyman as well. So Helen, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Jenna, and thank you, Touker, for being with us. If you can see the screen with the thing, can we move it up so that we can see a bit more of the CIMR screen, please? Okay, so I'm just going to make 3 points about who we are. We are an international community of scholars, practitioners, students, policymakers. Our philosophy is that of engaged scholarship. So within the CIMR family, there are people from small businesses, enterprises. They have different parts of the policy arena, and we engage between ourselves on various events and activities, but we're also part of a broader community of policymakers and practitioners. So it's this continuous dialogue that we are aiming for. So this is why our research is relevant. It's because of the nature of who we are in our community and who we engage with. And you can see from our website the sort of things that we're doing, the research that we're doing. And one of the particular focuses of the CIMR is this commitment to equality, diversity and inclusion. And that forms all of our thinking and our actions. And this is the way that change happens, by engagement and commitments of individuals and organizations to equality, diversity and inclusion. And my last point, which continues that, and it's about inclusion, and inclusion in the sense of the academy, our students. We see very little separation between what we do in CIMR and our teaching. We invite our students in the entrepreneurship and business innovation courses to take part in our events, and you'll meet some of them today when they do their presentations. So we expect our students to engage with us in our current events, and we also expect some of them to stay with us as join us as our alumni. And you can see Melina as one of our alumni, and this is the reason why we're here. We're building on our links with our students and our broader community, and thank you very much for joining us. And now I'm going to hand over to Touker Suleyman. I'm going to introduce you. So thank you very much. We're all hugely excited of you being here. You are the chairman and owner of the brands Hawks and Curtis, Ghost and Low Profile Group. You're also a dragon, which has brought you to our houses, our flats, and we so enjoy listening to you. And it's a staggering amount of money that you've personally invested in these companies. And I'm particularly interested in the collagen gin that you've invested in. It sounds very exciting. But thank you very much for joining us. We're absolutely thrilled to bits that you're here. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Helen. And Touker, so if you can unmute yourself, that would be lovely. And I'm going to hand over the reins to Muthu, who's going to be hosting the interview with you for the next part of the session.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here amongst all you intelligentsia. And I'm just a simple person, just remember that. But I'm very honored to exchange views with yourselves, change policies, change life. You know, I have an expression that says no change means no change.
Thank you very much, Touker. Such a fabulous starting for this interview. And again, many thanks, Touker, for this invaluable Touker time. What a marvelous entrepreneurial journey that you have had, being in the Sunday Times rich list with an estimated fortune in excess of, I'm not going to talk about the fortune.
Oh,
and then the only dragon out of the 3 initial dragons to have remained on the show. So our audience is very excited to learn from your unparalleled success story. So first, when you reflect on your entrepreneurial journey, can you please let us know what made you become this hugely successful entrepreneur?
Okay. Well, look, it's like any journey. I started my journey from very humble beginnings. I'm the son of an immigrant family from northern Cyprus. We came here in the late 50s. Had a very normal education. I started off as being a trainee chartered accountant. Did not see my exams through. I was more interested in being an entrepreneur. So I had that passion of being an entrepreneur. And at a very young age, I was very successful. Ended up being chairman of 2 public companies. And then I made one wrong move and lost everything. So it's not been a very smooth journey. But you could say that I started my entrepreneurship at the age of 20. I'm now at the age of 68. So I've had 48 years of being a real entrepreneur in what I call the machine room, on the ground, on the floor, in entrepreneurship. I started my career in garment manufacturing, which led to property, which is where I was successful enough to invest at a very early young age. Still got the properties, and then deciding to own my own brands. We bought Hawes and Curtis, then we bought Ghost, and now we've got Finery. So we've got 3 fashion brands. I've got over 22 other investments in small businesses. I do a lot of what I call pro bono work for a lot of small young startups where I help where I can. I wish I had more time to give more. But I'm not a great speaker. But I can solve problems, and that's what I'm good at. So people can ask me any questions about business, about their difficulties, whether it's personal life, whether it's business life, love life, whatever life you want to call it. I'm a man of having lived a very full life.
Wow, wow. Like 48 years of your experience in that kind of a snapshot. I mean, what a marvelous journey, Touker. So building on that, what advice you could offer to entrepreneurs who look up to you as a role model?
Well, look, I think if you want to be an entrepreneur, there are different role models. And I think, in my case, I had a passion to be successful. And I probably at a very young age had a purpose of where I wanted to go, and had some sort of plan. So my 3 Ps are always very important. You're going to have the passion, you're going to have the purpose, and you're going to have a plan. And I think being an entrepreneur, one will always have stumbling blocks along your journey. And that doesn't mean that if you fail once, it's all over. You get up, you say, right, I'm off again. Because it's only a result. No entrepreneur can sit down and say they've been successful the whole of their lives. So I think we are living in a society today which gives young people the opportunity to become entrepreneurs. Because in my day, there was no mobile phone, there was no internet. You couldn't have an idea and raise money from VCs or angel investors. You couldn't have a product that you could put on Amazon today and tomorrow you've got income. There's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur.
That's really fantastic, Touker. Thank you so much. You have summed up the things that we talked about in a one whole module, Bob. And then, how should entrepreneurs spot opportunities and establish their businesses?
Okay, so my advice to any young entrepreneur, go with your passion. Because unless you're doing something you really love to do, that's like stress. Go with your passion, go with your dream. that's how you start being an entrepreneur. You know, of course, on top of that, there's a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, a lot of homework. What I mean by that is you have an idea. Now, today, you don't have to be a genius to be an entrepreneur. All you've got to do is take an idea that's existing, look at the way it works, and make it better. So what we're seeing is we're seeing old traditional products with new technology, you know, whether it's sustainable, whether it's new technology, all those things that we talk about all day long, added into existing products. That is what makes an entrepreneur.
That's really, really important point, Touker. And then, in your journey, were there any missed opportunities or something that you should have done differently?
I have an expression that says you never look back, right? However, you know, I've got no regrets, and I'll tell you why, because I think one of the things I say is that real estate has always been good in the UK, and I've done very well out of it, and I did not miss the boat. Manufacturing is something I've always been involved in, and as I'm coming now, I'm investing more and more into technology. So I don't believe I've missed out on anything. What I've missed out on really is time has gone so quickly, you know. So if I would give everything back to get 20 years back and start all over again. And that's why I think with everybody who's young there, you guys have got the biggest asset you could have. And that's your age, your energy, your drive. You know, you can't buy that. You know, you cannot buy that you've got time on your hands. Today, the most valuable thing is two things: is your health and time. If you look after your health and you take care of your time, you've got plenty of time to really focus and drive. And that's really important. And sometimes you take a longer term strategy and say, I'm going to do it slowly and right. Or if you go crazy and things go wrong, you stop, you think, you readjust, and you change, and on you go again.
Wow, time and energy. Often we don't hear from entrepreneurs, but I could see definitely that these two are really valuable things alongside the 3 Ps that you have discussed. Yes. And all the other advice you have mentioned. So now if I move on to a specific activity that you have conducted, you acquired Harbs and Curtis. Yes. For a symbolic amount of £1 in 2002. Yes. At that point, the company was, I think, 500K in debt. Yeah. And was about to go into administration.
Correct.
But then you managed to drive the company to achieve a huge success. Would you like to share with us what made you acquire this company? And have you managed to overcome adversity and grow the company?
Fine. So first of all, there was a synergy. My background at the time was clothing manufacturing. And prior to that, we were supplying Ralph Lauren with shirts. So I had a little bit of knowledge about shirts. And when I walked down Jermyn Street and I saw what was going on, I said, well, I could do better than that. So the first thing I did was do my homework. So I pulled out all the accounts of every shirt brand on Jermyn Street and realized that Harbs and Curtis, although it was an iconic English brand, had no investment for a number of years, was on it just about to go into insolvency. So I approached the owners, said I would take over the company. They had a lot of liabilities personally. I took on all that and said I would take on the liabilities for £1. So that was the price I paid. However, I took on the debt. So the first thing I did was contact all the creditors and say, look, I've now bought this business, and I wasn't a dragon in those days, so I could have done a better deal than I could do today. But I approached every creditor and said to them, look, you know, you're owed 20,000. we're about to go to administration. Would you accept 2,000, 10p in the pound for your debt? And we went through everybody, ranging from 10p to 20p. We paid everybody off. So we ended up with a nice, clean shell. So we had no debt. The only debt was to myself. I then rebranded, and with my contacts, with my factories in Turkey, we started manufacturing shirts. Then I realized I had to ask myself a very big question. And I said, do I want to go into what I call the luxury market, or do I want to go into the affordable luxury market? And then I had a very good friend of mine who used to run one of the LVMH companies. And he said to me, Italian, he said, Touker, if you want to be in the luxury, you need 10 years. I said, I haven't got 10 years. So then I realized that my competitors were doing what I call a multi-buy. And I thought I could do that and better. And hence the fact that we started up with one store. Then I realized I had no scale. Because in order to get the best prices, you need to have scale. So I quickly opened 20 stores. And then the last 3 or 4 years, we started closing stores because they were uneconomical. And we've survived COVID. Most retailers did what you call a CVA, a company voluntary arrangement with their creditors. We did not do that. We just signed checks and paid all of our landlords off. The company now is 50% up on pre-2019 figures. So we are flying. Of course, 1 or 2 of our competitors have fallen away. We've repositioned the brand. We've got the right product, great quality, great design, great value. So they're our 3 strong pillars that hold that brand together.
Wow, Bob, you are like a textbook, like 3 pillars, 3 Ps, and all these really valuable insights. So as we have now learned from your entrepreneurial journey, at least a part of it, I think that now it is the right time to learn from you as to how to secure finance.
Right. Probably it's not my expertise, because I never raised finance. However, I could tell you, if you're starting up, my first advice would be your first finance should be from friends and family. Because if you've got a business, you do not want to give away too much equity at the beginning. You know, you want to give as little equity as away, friends and family to begin with, and then prove your concept. There could be a very big difference in your valuation between a startup and proving a concept. We get a lot of entrepreneurs that come into Dragon's Den, and they say, yes, well, I've already raised money here, I've raised money there, and they end up having 40% of a business or 50% of a business, and they're very tiny. So by the time they go back and raise more money and more money, they end up with 5% of the business. That's not what you want to be. You want to be in control of your journey. You want to be in control of your company. So first of all, raise money from family and friends. Then after that, raise money from angels. Now make sure that you only raise money when you need it. You don't raise money because you want new offices, you want to buy a flash car, or you want to go and spend it on a night out. Every penny you raise, remember this, is somebody else's money that you're using. So it's very important, you know exactly what you're going to spend the money on, what return you're going to get on your investment, and then as you create this model of spending right, growing the business, then it's very easy then to go to professional investors. It depends on how much you want, of course, because you've got a track record. But do not give too much equity away at the beginning. That's my advice.
That's very useful, Touker. And most of the time, we discuss how to secure an investment, but not what will happen afterwards. So once you close an investment deal with an entrepreneur, what does happen afterwards? Because you have invested on a lot of companies.
Okay, you're talking about me, myself. Okay, so
Yes.
so I'll give you a typical example of any investment in Dragon's Den. So we invest in Dragon's Den. The first thing we do is we do a due diligence to make sure that what is said in Dragon's Den is what the physical situation is. I then sit down with the entrepreneur, and I have a team of people as well to help me, and we then work out how can we add value to that business, whether it's opening doors, whether it's helping them with sourcing, whether it's helping them with design, whether it's the phone call here, the phone call there. That's what it's about. That's a passive investment, not passive. That's not I'd call that's a Dragon's investment, where although we are involved in the business, we don't run it. At the same time, we have about 7, 8 businesses which we've created internally, which is what we call in-house businesses. So we invested in a little business called Matchstick Monkey. It's a teething toy for babies. It's the #1 teething toy in the country now. We've just invested in an oral toothbrush brand called Sonisk. That's going to be a disruptor, a traveling toothbrush for $9.99. So there's different parts. So we have businesses that we run in-house, and we've got businesses that we have investments, but we're on the back of a phone call. So any of my investments can call myself or my team 24/7 for advice. And we've got one investment called Wool Couture. They've just tied up Tom Daly with a knitting collection, and it's gone through the roof, and it's gone way beyond their capacity. So we're helping them now with finance. We're helping them with warehouse ideas, with staff they need to recruit. So that happens every day, helping everybody run their business. Some of them have never exported. We help them how to export. With all the new laws with Brexit, we're helping them with that as well. So it's an ongoing thing.
Thank you very much, Touker. I wish I had more time to ask many more questions, but unfortunately,
I don't mind giving another 15 minutes, but you tell me. I'm easy.
Because
this is where MC comes in and says, let's stick to time.
Yeah, because Jenna told me when she appears, that's the time that I should wrap up. So
I hope I've not missed out on anything, but if there's anything that I've missed out on, if you email me, generally, and I will give an email back answer, you can then pass it around.
That's fabulous, Touker. Thank you so much for this immensely valuable advice, and we all are extremely grateful to you. And the insights and advice that you have shared with us not only be of value to budding entrepreneurs, but also for us as academics. So
I'm sure you know much more than I do, being an academic. I'm just a simple little entrepreneur.
And I can vouch that Mutu knows a lot. She's a brilliant academic, so well done, Mutu, on that side.
Touker is like a walking textbook to me. This is fantastic. Touker, thank you so much. I would like to now hand over to Jenna, because she did tell me that when I'm on the screen, that means it's a time that you have to stop.
This is just how I run a tight ship. What can I say? But we will be having a few more questions for you, Touker, towards the end of the event, because we have got some questions that are coming through on the chat. So we're going to have some time, and my colleague Milena will be taking over to ask some questions that the attendees have as well. But we would love to be able to showcase a few of our students to pitch their businesses and their business ideas in 3 minutes. So we have got... Yes, so we've got Samuel Maynor. He's going to be kicking us off. He's an undergraduate student. His business is Earn Direct. Now, Samuel, I'm going to give you the chance to start to set your slides up in the background while I let you know what might happen if we do run over. So you've got 3 minutes. I'm sure you won't go over the 3 minutes, but just to keep to time. Once your 3 minutes is over, I will have a lovely alarm sound, which will sound something like this. Don't know if you can hear that in the background, but if not, I will sort of come up and let you know when your 3 minutes is done. And then I'll hand the floor over to you, Touker, if you are happy to give some feedback to each of our student entrepreneurs. That would be brilliant.
each pitch?
After each pitch, yeah, that would be brilliant. So after Samuel's finished, I'll hand it over to you. Then we'll hear from Annabelle and then finally Alex. So Samuel, I'm going to ask you to share your slides. We are ready to go. So I'm just going to give you a chance to share your screen and get your slides ready, Samuel, if you're able to, and then we'll crack on. So I know you have got some slides to share, which may complement your pitch as you go through as well. Samuel, how are you doing? Are you all good to go?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Thank you
Okay,
very
we can
much
see your slides. If you want to make them a bit bigger, you can. If you want to put it in presenter mode, but completely up to you. We can still see them fairly clear on the screen.
Fine. Okay, so off you
Perfect.
go.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Samuel Maina. I am a BSc Business undergraduate at Birkbeck University. I am here to pitch to you Undirect, the next platform as a service unicorn. Our target market is the healthcare recruitment sector, locum staff supply to be specific. Suhail Misra, in his report, Health Workforce and Recruitment, estimates the market value worth to be 4.32 billion. The National Institute of Economics and Research stated in a report in 2017 that the use of agency workers in the public sector will persist, particularly in health and education. In a recent parliamentary report, Melissa MacDonald opines that the deficit in the health and social care workforce exceeds 100,000 full-time equivalent employees in the NHS alone, and in the social care sector, 122,000 and counting. Now, this is a small graph that's showing competitor value or revenues and their net worth in the market as of 2019. We at Undirect have identified a gap in the market, which we want to plug, leveraging on automation to offer value by increasing efficiency, reducing agency cost, increasing worker incomes. We want to free the healthcare worker and the healthcare force to keep the nation healthy. Our goal is to create ease in authenticating temp workers, the qualifications, their right to work, their licensing by various bodies such as the GMC, the NMC, and just to help make that system flow with ease without requiring day-to-day attendance as it does at the moment. We want to give healthcare workers ease of accessing jobs by swiping as they do on dating apps. If they're interested in a job, one click to accept a role or to commit to a role. And employers swiping to accept a role, and employers to be able to geofence where they go to work, see the hours that they work, digitally authenticate them on arrival at their premises, and at the same time have automatic upload of timesheets as soon as they log off digitally to note that they have been to work at certain places. We want to make it seamless so that the taxation is seamless, so that the NI submissions are seamless and payments are seamless, and that they can be able to track their work hours on their apps and on a desktop at any time. Why Samuel? Samuel is an innovator. He's been involved in startups. He's an entrepreneur, has failed, has succeeded, and now he's looking at that final journey where after being polished by Birkbeck, he can be able to succeed in the hands of a partner, an investor, and a mentor, so that both we can earn direct. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Check it out. That was spot on in terms of your timing, Samuel. Really nicely done. Touker, I'm going to hand over to you for feedback.
Samuel, I love the idea to be a disruptor, because I think I'm surprised that the government themselves haven't thought of this, because there are agencies who actually take huge, I mean, what do they charge? 10 to 20% commission? I don't know what they charge.
15 to 30.
So it's crazy. And when you think that that money could go towards paying off, you know, a better wage for nurses, doctors, or whatever. So I think it's a great idea. The question becomes, how do you make your money here? Samuel?
It's basically a digital agency. The idea here is to become like Uber, but reduce the cost to the NHS and to private healthcare, and then charge a small fee and leverage on numbers. So volume will be what we'll leverage, and then having a small team that is basically IT based, so technology based solution, then we can charge just like agencies do, but lower fees.
Right, and I'm assuming that you will have to spend quite a bit of money initially to recruit nurses, doctors, and professionals that need to go on your website, correct?
With any type of agency, the biggest bill of every single day is advertisement.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yes, there'll be money in that, and also the technology development of the technology. My idea would be to go into universities, as we are in one right now, and start recruiting from there, with aim that in 10 years' time, those who are graduating and becoming nurses and doctors will be totally into this.
I think 10 years, I think most of your investors will probably want a much quicker return. So just to round it off, Samuel, I think you've got a great idea. I think somehow you need to prove the concept, and maybe my advice to you is to go and link up with a private hospital, something like the HCA, Harley Street Clinic, pitch to them, and maybe they will fund this for you. You know, sometimes it's not always outside funding. There are, and maybe even the government, you know, maybe approaching the health department and the government and say, look, I can save the government a lot of money, but I need this money. It'll be nothing for them to give you a grant to put this together. So definitely pursue this. I like it, you know. And I'd like, even after this, if you wanted some mentoring, helping, you contact me, and I'll put you in the right direction.
Thank you very much, Touker. That would be a privilege.
Okay, have I answered everything you need to know? But I'm telling you now, don't give up on this. But what you need is, you need to think big, and you need to think by talking to somebody big who employs a lot of nurses and doctors every day. You know, let them be the ones who are going to be your investors.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Brilliant. Great first round, and what an opportunity for our students as well. Touker, again, appreciate your time on this and the feedback that you're giving to our students, and the offer of support as well. We're going to head straight into our next student. She is a postgraduate student. Annabelle, I'm going to ask you to share your slides, because I think you have got some ready to go as well. And this is Annabelle Ola with her business Bakiri. I'm hoping I pronounced that correct, Annabelle. Apologies if I haven't, but the floor is yours if you want to share your slides and your screen, and then over to you.
Thank you. Right, are you able to see my slides?
We can see your slides, yes. You can make them full screen if you want to, but we can still see them as they are.
Okay, carry on, Annabelle.
Okay.
Perfect, yep, we're good to go. Timer is on.
All right, thank you very much for being here today. My business is called Viability, and it is existing to expand the boundaries of modern luxury patisserie, the fusion of classical recipes with African ingredients will offer a new dimension of cultural discovery and appreciation for gourmand lifestyles. The unique business model of the patisserie and signature cocktails that will also complement the patisserie will meet a target market demand for small luxuries and exciting new flavor profiles. And combining patisserie and alcohol has been done by the likes of Cake and Bubbles, etc. So it's a business model that works. From my main competitors like Uncle John's Bakery, which is a Ghanaian bakery, I can see like plantain-based or fruit-based products like coconut, mango, etc. They work with the target market, but I will build on that and offer a wider range of Pan-African ingredients like zobo or baobab, which are kind of superfoods as well. And then some of these customers might already be of the African heritage, so they might already know these flavor profiles, but not experience them in patisserie specifically. And I will also be differentiating myself from competitors by, pursuing the online delivery aggregators, which has seen massive growth in this food industry. A bit about the market research: 4 in 5 people enjoy sweet treats, and the market value is about 2.37 billion in the UK, and that is including patisserie. And obviously, COVID has had an impact, but there is an optimistic recovery in 2022. So this is an optimal time to start looking into this opportunity. And also, the team will include obviously some pastry chefs that are skilled in the technical area, and also that have experience in different African flavors. Me as the founder, and with my combining that with my knowledge that I'm gaining in my MSc here in culinary innovation management, and also an advisory board would be great. And I'd include people like my tutors and chefs at Le Cordon Bleu, and also business advisors like Mutu as well, who can offer their services maybe for a non-monetary value to support my business. And I also plan on going on things like accelerators to build my network. So the revenue will come once I've opened the first establishment, but I'll be focusing on properly developing the recipe ideas that I've got, first of all, and then doing the follow-up research to really understand if those recipes are a hit with the market. And that is my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.
Annabelle, hi, Touker here. I think as a society, we're very open to new cuisines. And when it comes to sweets and desserts, I mean, everybody just closes their eyes, puts something in their mouth and tastes the flavor. Now, I don't know if you're fighting against a trend, because now everyone's trying to be sustainable, everyone's trying to be low calorie, no sugar. So my first advice to you is try and find an angle you can talk about. African pastries, African ingredients is one thing. Is it organic? Is it sustainable? Do you have a story? Do all your ingredients come from a certain area in Africa? Is this something you can talk about? Very important that you have a little bit of background to your product. That's point one. The other thing is, I think when you're starting, I'm assuming that you're making pastries at home in your kitchen now, right?
Yes.
I guess that. So I think your first step to prove the concept, you should consider doing the food markets, right? Mm-hmm. Food markets are a very good starting point to get people to taste your product. They're very low overhead, so that you can build that following. I know one business that started in food markets that they now have 14 restaurants, right? It's an Australian idea, but what I'm saying is that this is quite easy in the sense that you could create your own stock. There's lots of food markets around London. You can get a stall on a Saturday or a Sunday, on the weekends, even while you're studying, and taste it, and then reach out and see if people love your product. They may say, this is too sweet, this is like this. Just learn. When you get that right, then I think you could then talk about, do you place, and I don't know what market you're trying to pitch. Is it luxury? Is it affordable? But you might want to pitch some of that Planet Organic or Whole Foods at the top end first, and then work your way down. And then eventually, fine. But definitely prove the concept first. Go into markets, get a stall. It's the easiest way of entry. You'll soon know if people love your product or not.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions, Annabelle, for Touker before we wrap up?
Yeah, so I think you've answered my main question of like how to get sort of that product market fit, because yeah, I would be targeting more like the luxury side of things, because with this business, it's like I want to eventually have like my own like restaurant, like my own bricks and mortar establishment. So it's kind of like how to get from A to B, really.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to go there overnight. I think it's a bit of a journey. Start off with the markets, get it into people's mouths, get people to taste it, talk about it, and then stage by stage, on that journey. Okay?
And there's a lot of love coming through for your idea already, Annabelle. Samuel is jumped in saying he would attend a Birkbeck taste party of these African infusions. So we'll try and set that up at Birkbeck as well. But a lot of love. Makeda saying you hooked her at planting. So we're all good. And Samuel, loads of applause coming through from your pitch as well. So well done. We are leading into our final student pitch, and Alex is a graduate of Birkbeck. Alex Mitchell is up next. I've had the pleasure of watching and following his journey with his business Blind Cupid. So Alex, if you want to set up your slides, I'm going to shortly hand over to you for the final pitch. And just a recap of the final part of the agenda. After Alex's pitch and feedback, we will be going into a mini Q&A to answer some of your questions that are coming through on the chat for Touker as well. So if you do have any final questions you would like Melina to ask Touker, please do pop those into the chat. But Alex, the floor is yours and the timer is ready. So when you start, all good to go when you are.
Sure. And can you see my screen?
We can, yes, all good to go.
Okay, perfect. So hi, Touker. My name is Alexander Mitchell. I am the founder and CEO of Blind Cupid, which is both a matchmaking app and a technology product. The problem is simple. It's incredibly hard to know if you are compatible with someone, whether you meet online on any app or you meet offline in person. This creates a lot of frustration, a lot of hurt, wastes a lot of money, time, and effort. The solution is Blind Cupid. Blind Cupid is a platform that can see the unseen compatibility in people wherever they meet, in any app, in any country, in any place in the world. It's the result of many years of research into how people think and into the make and break areas of relationships. How it works is really simple. Like I said, we have our own app, which means that our algorithm and our methodology will show other members, very, very compatible people. But you can also use what we call Cupid links, handles, like on Instagram when everybody has their own usernames, and QR codes to basically link out your own Blind Cupid profile to people in any other app you meet. So let's say you have 100 people you're talking to on Hinge, but you have no idea to know if they're compatible or not. You can simply send them your Cupid link, tell them what your Cupid handle is, and they undergo the same process, answer the same fun questions, and then you get a compatibility score. On the left-hand screen there, you can see the Cupid score, and then you can explore your compatibility. Basically, the company is not competing as another solution in this market. It is through eventual APIs going to power the whole market, and it is a very, very unique positioning of a product in this market. As you can see on the right-hand side, we have an API mock-up of how we will collaborate with Hinge as we go, as more and more members of other apps in this market are basically linking their matches outside of the core app, Hinge, Bumble, Tinder, whatever it might be, into our app. And the way that we are going just now is to have conversations with companies like Hinge and say, look, so many people are putting their Cupid handles in their bios, telling people that they're meeting on your app to see if they're actually compatible using our tech. It makes much more sense if we plug our tech into your apps. And that is the way that we are going with the product. Now, we've already tested this. We've already raised money. We raised over 300K. I've already got a team, and we've already got incredibly strong metrics. 100% of our beta users, every single one of our beta users who used the Cupid link sharing, brought people in from other dating apps, such as Hinge and Bumble. We've already proved the concept. 80% of the 5,000 users that we've had have entered relationships according to the relationship desire which they had. So the methodology works, the Cupid link sharing works as well. And the key thing as a business model is that we do not need the scalability and the high marketing spend that everything else in this market needs, because we can piggyback the scalability of everything else in this market and also enable them to be better by providing them with the technology which they currently don't have. A quick bit about pricing. We have a freemium model where people pay by batch of interactions, and we also have a subscription model. And as you'll be able to see in the bottom right-hand side, our projected EBITDA income by the end of year 3 is almost £20 million. Like I say, we've already raised money. We're actually doing a seed round right now, talking to various funds, including Walking Ventures, raising up to £1 million. So yeah, very exciting time. And we are, oh, I'm out of time apparently. So yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Alex, it all sounds very exciting. So let me get this right. You are a technology, or you're offering technology to other dating apps, correct?
Yeah. So basically, we have a matchmaking app, and we are through saying to people, wouldn't you like to know how compatible you are with anybody you're talking to on other apps? And they are linking people they're talking to our app, and then we can basically say to their
Well, what I'm saying is, aren't you better off to say you've got a technology that they can wire into that helps their existing clients to find a better match? So in other words, let's assume I've never been on a dating app, so I wouldn't know, but let's assume you're Tinder, which I've heard about. So Tinder, you go to Tinder and you say, look, we've got technology that you can add on. Hopefully you've got IP of your technology.
Yeah.
You do. That's important.
We're in the process of patenting the algorithms here and in the US.
But that's really important first, right? But I think for you, my advice would be get the technology, sell the technology to each one of those companies and say, right, you charge them whatever it is, so much for every user, or so much a month, so much a month as a subscription to them. And I don't know how many dating apps there are, so you want to weigh that up and say, is that 500? Is it 1,000? Therefore, what do you charge for your technology? Do you charge per person that uses it? Do you charge per company? I don't know, but I would definitely make this into a technology play.
That's what we're doing. We're having these conversations
because when you do your exit, you'll get a much higher valuation on a technology. The other thing you work out is what else can your technology do in other sectors?
Well, yeah, this is a great point, because perfect, because if you saw the larger deck, you would see that we can go into areas like LinkedIn and things like that, where so the root of what we do is compatibility, right? So
I like what you're doing. I think definitely focus on being a technology company rather than being another dating app.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Because there are a lot of dating apps, they come and go. But I think you need to be selling technology to existing dating apps who are successful, who want to offer their clients a little bit more accuracy. So don't forget, if you're on a dating app, you're paying a subscription. And if you're not getting success, you're just cut off. So it's very important for these dating apps to have the latest technology. So I think definitely, I like what you're doing. It looks like you've raised money, you've proven the concept. Carry on doing what you're doing. I think, but don't get carried away in having your own app.
Yeah, completely agree. The total addressable market with apps is far higher, and different markets as well. It's super exciting.
Sell your technology to other apps.
Yeah,
that should be your business, and then think about how you can adapt that technology into other areas, so you become a compatible app in lots of areas.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that is the vision for where we're going. Perfect.
Good.
What a way to round up the 3 pitches, thank you so much, Touker, for the feedback for Samuel, Annabelle and Alex. It has been phenomenal. I know there's a lot of virtual applause happening in the Teams room today. So Samuel, Annabelle, Alex, really great opportunity and awesome job on your pitches. And I'm sure you'll take Touker up on his offer to continue to stay in touch.
I'll tell you what I'll do. All three of you contact me, and I'm very willing for you guys to come over for an hour, bounce off, see how I can add, because we haven't got much time here, but I'm very willing to add a little bit of mentoring to the 3 of you to help if you want it. You know, I'm only at Edgware Road, but no doubt you guys can contact my team and start something in the diary in the new year. You know?
I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads. I'd be very surprised if anyone turned around and said no to that offer. So I'm sure everyone will take that up.
The caliber has been excellent, and I think all 3 pitches were direct. And I'm very impressed. I'm going to put you into a secret now. When people come into Dragon's Den to pitch, a pitch can go on for an hour and more. So what you've come across in the 3 minutes that you had was first class.
Well done, guys. Mic drop moment there. And we're going to finish, if you're happy, Touker, just for a final few minutes. We've got a couple of questions from the floor. So, Melina, I'm going to hand over to you. I'm sure you've been spying a couple of the questions that have been coming up. So we've got a few minutes for questions on your side.
Fine.
Yes. Thank you, Jenna. Hi, everyone. Hi, Touker. Thank you for being with us today. So we have a few questions from the audience. The first question is, what are the criteria that you look at when investing in startups?
The biggest criteria is the entrepreneur himself. Because you can have a fantastic idea, but if the entrepreneur doesn't know how to run a business, or is not controlled, or is a liar, or is a cheat, or whatever, then so it's not on. So the biggest criteria I look at is, can I work with this entrepreneur? Does our vision meet the same vision? Is he or she willing to listen? And that's really important, how I get on with the entrepreneur.
Thank you. And well, are there any specific metrics that you look at?
Metrics?
Yeah.
It's very simple in my world. I look somebody in the eye and say, can I do business with you?
Okay.
And of course, on top of that, you know, you've got to believe in the business itself, you know, and look at the where does it fit into? Does it fit into a small niche business? Does it fit into a bigger play? Has it got legs that it could be a multi-million-pound company? So there are different ways, and I probably can weigh that up within 5 minutes in my head very quickly.
Okay, thank you. And we have a question for budding entrepreneurs in the fashion industry. What are the key skills needed to succeed in today's tech world?
You know, fashion is I've been in fashion for 48 years, and fashion has a way that it's like a drug. It sucks you in. And I think the biggest thing with fashion, what you've got to have in today's world, you've got to have a unique design, unique offer, you've got to have good sourcing, good marketing, and know your customer.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And what is your advice on building relationships with department stores in order to get a new fashion product in store?
All I can tell you is helps if you're a dragon.
Yeah.
That's one. I think you know, many years ago, most of these department stores wouldn't even look at small brands, but I think today there's much more of an opportunity, especially you know, if you're a small fashion brand, you can quite easily create your own website, whether it's on Shopify or whatever, and you can call up a buyer and say, this is who I am, this is my website. She can go on your website, or he, and decide whether he or she wants to see you. So it's become easier today to communicate with department stores and buyers than it's ever been. But you've got to get your website right. You've got to get your photo shoot right. You've got to get your description of your product right. You know, they all want to hear about sustainability. It's a big word at the moment. That seems to be the number one thing that everyone's looking at. So if you've got a sustainable brand, you've got a story there, you've got a chance.
Okay, thank you. And we have another question. What keeps you grounded and authentic?
I work 7 days a week. I am very humble. I don't drive a fancy car anymore. I drive an electric car. I don't have a private plane. I have a boat, and I work 7 days a week.
Okay. And is a product-based business better than a service business?
Sorry, which one is that?
Is a product-based business better than?
Well, right? You've got people who make billions of products. You've got Procter & Gamble, Unilever, GK, all selling your products, whether it's shampoos, whether it's, So I think if you get the right product and you disrupt the market, it can be a multi-billion-pound company. Now, it does not mean that in the service industry, I mean, when I say service industry, it just depends what you're offering. If you have a service that people want and they're willing to pay it, I think both industries have got a lot of potential. It just depends in what real sector, what product you're aiming at.
Okay. And so I have a question here. I'm not sure I quite understand it. So is it better to be a middleman or a passive investor?
Okay, well, a middleman normally is somebody that puts two people together or is buying something and selling it on. So a middleman, I'm assuming, is using his time, his energy and contacts to be a middleman. A passive investor is investing his own money in a business and is just a passive investor. Now, my policy is now we don't make passive investments. So passive investments is where I give somebody my money and say, go away, come back in 6 months, tell me how you've done. Whereas when I invest, is I'm hands-on, and we only invest in businesses where we add value to that business. Of course, that helps us get a much better deal in investing than a normal shareholder because we are adding value.
Okay, thank you. And what is your opinion on the viability of sustainable fashion made to order?
Well, what you're going to ask yourself is, what is sustainable fashion? So, I mean, this is a big question mark. I think sustainable fashion, in my personal view, that there's a bit of a blur because I mean, the only thing really that is sustainable at the moment out there is recycled polyester, one. Two is Ecovera wood pulp viscose. Then the rest of it really is, if you pardon my language, it's a lot of confusion. Because to be sustainable in fashion, it's very difficult. You still need to print the product. You still need to dye a product. They all go through washing methods. They all go through finishing methods. You still need people to machine it, to cut it, steam to finish it, transport to transport it. So if I work down the chain, personally, I think half of the people who say they're sustainable in fashion are talking a lot of garbage. So if you really look at sustainable fashion, you relied on it, you would end up with recycled polyester and wood pulp viscose. Yeah, there is some recycled cotton, but then you go on to being sustainable and say, well, is cotton picking sustainable? How do you make cotton sustainable? But there isn't, you cannot have 100% sustainable fashion product. Impossible, in my world anyway. Now, if somebody can tell me they can, I'm very willing to listen.
Okay, thank you. And the last question is, how do you cope with uncertainty as an entrepreneur?
Decisive decisions and you stick by them.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Touker. So
I will do a few more if you want, but I mean, it depends on time, but hopefully I've covered most things.
I believe you have. I think that Mutu probably had a few more questions for you. Mutu, would you like to come in?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I think you just need to unmute yourself, Mutu. If you do have a couple more questions, we've got the time. If Touker, very much appreciate your time there as well. So if we've got a couple more, and then we'll hand over to Federica for the final events.
10, 15 minutes is fine with me. If yeah, it's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Touker. As we all have seen, the pandemic has changed some of the business opportunities, and the pandemic has created the new norms. So in your opinion, what is the influence of pandemic on the business and investment landscape?
Well, look, I think the pandemic is something that slowly we are living with at the moment. And I think if you're in the leisure world, you're in the travel world, there are certain industries which have really been badly hurt. However, online in certain categories has grown. I think more and more of us have relied about online deliveries. That's going to stay. I honestly think that anyone in the sanitizer world, in the PPE world, all that stuff, that will still continue for a while. I think more than that, what it's done to a lot of bio companies is that they now realize that the investment they put into drugs, vaccines over the last years have paid off, and I think we'll see a big investment in that sector. I think in our lifetime we might see some more pandemics in the world around us. So I think we will live with COVID. We'll live around it, whether it's with masks, whether it's a little bit of social distancing. I think working from home is an option, but I believe that a lot of businesses have to have people in the office to intercommunicate. Some businesses can work accordingly, but what we've seen is there are winners and losers, at the moment, and really the winners at the moment, to me, seem to be companies that have been very quick off the mark to create certain products that we all want, and online. Losers being leisure, travel. Retail's bounced back quite well. I think people still want to go out, touch, shop. They want the intercommunication on certain types of products. So that's my view.
Thank you so much, Touker. So may I also ask another question, because we have got several international students who aspire to become entrepreneurs in the UK.
Right.
So on one hand, there are different and unique experience, background, and network might add value. But on the other hand, starting a business in a new culture might be tough. So what is your advice to those budding entrepreneurs?
Okay, I think no matter what color, what race, where you're from, the UK has an opportunity for everybody. However, if you are from a local country and your country locally has a unique product that you could repackage, develop, and import to the UK to sell, that could also be an advantage. So what I'm saying is that if you are in a banana growing country and you want to take bananas and add value to bananas, whether they're in cat or just give an example, and they're made in your country, you could create that and bring to the UK. But there's nothing that I can see, no matter who you are, where you're from, what color you are, of your skin, of your race, that there's an opportunity in the UK for you to be an entrepreneur.
That's fabulous. Jenna, do we have time, or what do you think?
Oh, let's squeeze in one more, Mutu. Go for it. Why not?
Okay, brilliant. And so if we have got time for one more, because I have got a very long list, I'm just thinking what is the most important one for this one aspect. So let me just think about this. Because the challenges in the current world encourage entrepreneurs to form entrepreneurial teams. So what advice would you offer in relation to forming and then growing an entrepreneurial team?
Look, I think in the world we're in today, it's who you know. You know, I think the more teams, the more conferences, the more debates that one goes into. You meet people who could help you introduce to somebody else. It's all about people you know. And I encourage that you should be very open to meeting anybody that could inspire you, that you get an idea from, exchange ideas, exchange views. Definitely, I agree with that.
Thank you very much, Touker. Really grateful to you. Over to you, Jenna.
Thanks, me too. Great set of questions. Good final one there as well. I am going to shortly hand over to my colleague, Federica. I do just want to do a shout out to those in the background, because this has been a real team effort off the back of that final question. We've heard from Professor Lawton-Smith, Mutu, Melina has helped with the Q&A. I'm going to hand over to Federica. Doyen, I'm glad you've just put your video on as well, because Doyen and Isabel have been in the background working hard to make sure everything's running smoothly. So Doyen, thank you so much for all of your effort in putting this event together, and Isabel as well. I know you're floating in the background somewhere, but just want to give you the credit for that. Touker, thank you so much for joining us. We do have one final section. The final few minutes to wrap up the event is Dr. Federica Rossi. She's a reader in management at Birkbeck, and she's co-director of the Centre of Innovation, Management and Research. She's going to give us a brief insight into the events that are coming up with the CIMR. So Federica, over to you.
Thank you very much. So this is just a very, very quick note of thanks at the end of this event to say thank you to our guest speaker, Touker Suleyman. It's been a fantastic opportunity. Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Yeah, we got it.
So this is just to say thank you to our guest, Touker Suleyman, to the organizer of this event, so Jenna, Musu, Melina, and Doyen, to the students who have presented their pitches, Samuel, Annabelle, and Alex, and finally to our audience who have been very involved, very active, and asking a lot of questions, so it's been brilliant to see. I just want to spend a minute to let everyone know how to get in touch with us to keep up with CIMR's events and initiatives. First of all, you can follow us on Twitter. As you can see, we've got a Twitter handle called @Birkbeck_CIMR. You can check out our website, bbk.ac.uk/CIMR, where we put a lot of information about our research activities, our events, and we have news and everything that is going on with the Research Centre. You can also join our mailing list by emailing Professor Helen Lawton-Smith, and you can see her email address here, by joining our mailing list, you'll be receiving periodically emails about what is going on with the center, and you'll be reminded of events. We have some upcoming events that you might be interested in. So we've got a program for the next term. This was the last event of the autumn term, and we have some events for the spring term. As you can see, these are mainly research seminars having to do with digital technology, entrepreneurship, regional economies and digital transformation. We also have a seminar which is mainly aimed at researchers, helping her to build research visibility through social media. So as you can see, we do a variety of things. We don't have the registration links for these events up yet, but if you keep an eye on our website, they'll be available soon. And then, of course, you can also join our mailing list, as I said earlier. So this is just to say thank you, everybody. It's been a really, really interesting and informative event. And I think the opportunities for our students to actually have a follow-up meeting with Touker is really wonderful. So thank you very much again.
Thanks so much, Federica. I'm sure there are loads of virtual applause coming through. Touker, I hope you've enjoyed hearing from our students as well and answering our range of questions. We bombarded you with quite a few from our audience and Mutu as well, but really appreciate all your insights. I may just take you up on, if you do want to hear from more students, I run a great program called Pioneer at Birkbeck, where a lot of our students who are studying with the academics here today are running it. So I might just send you some details of that if you're interested in hearing any more pitches next year.
Well, look, I want to thank you all for having me. As I said, I'm not an articulate speaker. I just speak for what's up here, my experience in the last 48 years. But I've enjoyed being here, and I'm very willing to do it again if you'd like to have me back sometime. You know, great. I saw amongst your forthcoming events something called passion, entrepreneurial passion. That's a great subject to get people, you know, to have the passion to be an entrepreneur. That's what it's about.
And you can see your passion that comes through as well. I think that's what's been brilliant to see from your side and from the entrepreneurs, student entrepreneurs who pitched today. Such a key theme throughout the session as well. Touker, thank you so much for joining us. For everyone else who is in the room, thank you as well. We look forward to seeing you at other CIMR events soon. Have a lovely evening.
To give a little bit of mentorship to those 3 pitches today, sometime in January, and see if I can help them a little bit on their journey.
That will be brilliant. And I'm sure, well, we've got connections from setting up this event, so we'll definitely put them in touch with you, Touker, and get the ball rolling on that as well.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.